Hi everybody, Bob Gager from Adobe here with the next installment of Ask Bob, where I get to answer questions posed by our Photoshop Elements fans. Today's question comes from, where is it? Here we go. Comes from Gary. And Gary would like to know how to superimpose a live person's face on top of a cartoon character and actually get the coloring of the live person's face to match the coloring in the cartoon character. Well, Gary, let me show you how to do that. First of all, thanks for posting a couple of the original images. That's going to make it a lot easier for me to show you how to get this done. I'm going to switch over from Facebook to Photoshop Elements. Now, I saw that you are using Photoshop Elements 10. This is Photoshop Elements 14, the very latest one. But everything I'm going to show you today is going to work exactly the same in Photoshop Elements 10. It's laid out a little bit differently, so you might have to hunt around to find things, but all the capabilities are there in 10 as well. And the exact same technique is what you will use. So first of all, what we want to do is start off with this image, the picture of the guy's face, and we want to cut out the head because that's what we're going to paste onto the other image. And the way I would do that is start off using the Quick Select tool. So over here in our tool panel, on the left is in the select section is the quick select tool right here. If that's not showing, go ahead and click on whatever tool is right here and then open up your tool options down here in the bottom. There's actually 4 different selection tools here. Make sure this one, the quick selection tool, is clicked. Then just come over on top of the face, drag around, and you can see it very quickly tries to find edges of things. These marching ants, anything inside that area is what we're selecting. That's what we're going to copy to paste in the other photo. So just drag around, kind of around his chin here. We don't have to be exactly perfect. Let's get his ear kind of around there, something like that. Maybe get his hat. Let's get his other ear. And let's get the pipe as well. And you can see sometimes it actually goes a little too far. We've selected past the pipe. And if you hold your Alt or Option key down, depending upon whether you're on Mac or Windows, and then just drag where you don't want the selection, it'll deselect. So you can fine tune things. I'm actually just not going to worry too much because we can do some erasing later to get it perfect. So just kind of drag around that, get your selection more or less what you want it to be. Either by adding to the selection or subtracting from the selection. Once you've got your selection good, just do an edit, copy, and that's going to copy all of the pixels that are inside your selection area. Switch over to your other photo. You can either do that by clicking the tabs up here on the top if you're in expert mode. If you're not in expert mode, go ahead and switch over to expert mode so you've got these same capabilities. Or you can open the photo bin and just click on the other image that's currently open. I'm going to switch back to my tool options because we're going to need those in a little bit. So now that I've got this other photo selected, I'm just going to go back to Edit and Paste, and that'll paste that selection in. Now, since those two photos were sized very differently, of course, the thing I copied and pasted in is much bigger than I need. So I'm going to use the Move tool. That's this tool right here in the Select section, and just kind of drag down, go up to the very corner of that bit that I pasted in, click on the corner and drag, and you can see as I shrink down the box that it's in, that whole image will shrink down as well. So kind of shrink it down, get it to be about the size that you want. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time getting it exactly perfect. I'm just going to get it kind of close for purposes of the demo. So let's kind of get it maybe about like that. And based on the image that you posted, it sounds like you've already figured out how to do all this, Gary. So none of that is new. But what we want to do is get the coloring right on this face that we just pasted in. And the way we do that is first we want to sample the color of the cartoon character's skin tone. We do that with our eyedropper or color picker tool. Go ahead and click on that. And then click on the color that you want. So like if you click on red, you can see over here in our color swatch, we've selected red or black or the blue, but we don't want any of those. We want this sort of skin colorish yellow. And so go ahead and click on that, and that way we've got that color selected. And now for kind of the tricky parts. The first thing we need to do is make a new layer. So if your layers panel is not showing over here on the right, come down to the bottom of the action bar and this little button right here called layers, just click on that. and you're going to open up the layers panel to see the different layers. Now this is not a tutorial on layers. They're a fairly complex concept, but incredibly important when you start to do some more advanced things. So if you're not familiar with layers, maybe a quick Google search for Photoshop Elements Layers Explained or something like that will find you lots of tutorials and help you come up to speed on layers. But the first thing we need to do is create a new layer for our yellow skin color. And we do that by clicking this little icon here, create a new layer, just click that, and it will create a new layer above the layer I had selected. If it happened to put it in the wrong spot, like the top here, just grab it with your mouse and drag down and put it where you need it. So we actually want this new layer underneath the layer with the human's face and above the layer with the cartoon character. Now what we want to do is a little bit of colorizing. So the first thing in getting the right color on this human face is to select the layer with the human face and get rid of the color that's already there. And we want to do that by going up top to the Enhance menu, go down to the Adjust Color section, and simply select Remove Color. And that's going to convert that layer to a nice black and white image for us. Next step is to change the blending mode for this layer. Now this little pull down right here is how we change our blending mode. Again, this isn't a tutorial on blending modes. They're a pretty powerful feature. So if you're interested, go again, look for a quick Google search on Photoshop Elements blending modes, and you can see some of the pretty interesting power that's available here. So the one I want to use is something called Hard Light. Basically, these blending modes control how layers are mixed together. So you can see I've changed that to hard light. It's kind of messed things up a bit here, but not to worry. We're going to fix that in just a second by coming down to the layer right underneath it, layer 2, which currently is completely blank. Over on the left, we're going to get our draw section and our paintbrush in the draw section. Pick a nice kind of softish edged brush. There's a bunch in the list. Just maybe pick one of these. There's a size slider to control how big or small it is, and make sure the opacity is set to 100%. And now what you can do is with layer 2 selected, so you're actually just painting on layer 2, start painting. And you can see as we paint underneath that face layer that's in black and white and has its blending mode set to hard light, the face is actually coming back to life for us, and it's coming back to life with that yellowish color applied to it. And so you can paint around, just make sure you get all the edges. Of course, that's not exactly what we want. We want to get a little more precise, so maybe grab our magnifying glass, zoom in a little bit, and use our eraser tool to erase back out where we don't want the yellow. So with a little painting and a little erasing, you can get the edges pretty good. I'm going to go pretty quick here, a little sloppy, just in the interest of time. I'm actually going to take the yellow off of the hat. I'm going to leave the hat in black and white. I don't know why. Maybe just because that's the look I'm after. If you want the yellow on the hat, of course, leave it. But we're going to assume that this yellow is just for a cartoon skin tone. And so we're going to get rid of that. So erase where you've painted a little too much yellow, and paint in the yellow where you want that skin tone. I'm going to temporarily hide this bottom layer just to make it a little easier to see where we've painted and where we haven't. All right, so we're going to come around his chin, up around the pipe. I actually don't want the pipe to be that color. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the yellow off of the pipe. Again, just assuming this yellow is for a skin tone and nothing else. There we go. So around like maybe something like that, right? Spend a little more time and you can make it absolutely perfect. So clear all of that out. There we go, something like that. Okay, let's re-show that bottom layer again by clicking on the little eyeball. And now we've got this human face colorized with the yellow to match the cartoon character underneath. And we can do some things like change the opacity of any particular layer. If the yellow is kind of too strong, we can tone it down. Although if we do it too much, the image underneath is starting to show through. Or we can tone down this image a little bit if we don't want it to be quite so strong. Just change the opacity of the layer, and you can make some fine-tuning adjustments as well. If I want to do some other things, like maybe pull in the color of the pipe and paste that in, of course I'd use similar techniques. But the technique that you asked about, how do I get the skin tone to look right? That's what I would do. Now with this image, there's a couple of other things that I might be interested in doing. First of all is let's get rid of the cartoon character's face in the background because it's not quite the right shape. So I'm going to temporarily hide these two layers and then actually just create a new layer right above the background. And I want to grab my selection tool, my marquee selection tool, and just kind of come over here. Since we have a gradient background, we need to find some of that nice gradient. I'm going to select some of it. I'm going to edit and copy. Oops, I have the wrong layer selected. Make sure your background layer is selected. I'm going to edit and copy, and then switch to this layer and edit and paste. And what that's going to do, let me hide this bottom layer, that's actually going to paste that little bit that we just copied right there. And so let me hide this again. Let me get my move tool. We can see it here. And I'm going to drag it to the right. Now hold the shift key down when you're dragging, so the up and down stays the same because we don't want to move it up and down. We want the gradient to match. So I'm going to just drag it kind of right over here where we start up here to cover the original character's hat. And then I'm going to drag the edge of this over, and it's going to stretch it to completely cover his face. And so just drag far enough over so you've completely covered his face, and when you've got it all covered, hit the green check mark to accept. Now there's a little too much that we're covering up, so again we'll grab our eraser tool and just do some quick erasing right there and some quick erasing kind of right down here and maybe down along the bottom to get this to look a little nicer. There we go, something like that. So now we've covered up only where the original character's head is, and none of the rest of the stuff is covered up. Now we can re-show our other layers. We'll show that yellow layer. I guess we might as well go clean things up a little bit here while we're at it. So again, our eraser tool, we left some smudge around up here and maybe around the edges. So maybe just do a little cleanup, something like that, to get rid of the yellow where we really don't want it. And then finally re-show that very top layer, the character's face, and we've got it. So Gary, that's the steps to bring a face in from a picture of a real person, drop it on top of a cartoon, and change the coloring of the face to match the coloring of the skin tone in the cartoon. Hope that helps. Have a great day and enjoy using Photoshop Elements.